Check that out. Isn't that awesome? Kelli Macatee coming up here in a moment, running for school board in Texas. You're listening to and watching the Liberty Restoration Show. I'm your host, Jason W. Hoyt. Find out more about the show at jasonwhoyt.com. That's jasonwhoyt.com. I'm going to get right to it, actually. I'm excited to interview Kelli Macatee. She is in Dallas, Texas. She's running for school board for some crazy reason. She's like a normal, everyday person who decided to get up off the couch, get engaged, get involved, and we're going to find out why. Actually, I'm going to bring her up right now. Kelli, you're the crazy one that we're talking about.
That's me.
Yeah. So we're going to dig into school board, and it's Highland Park. That's in the Dallas, Texas area. We're going to dig into what your goals are and all of that, but I want to go back and get into understand your why, because one of my goals in life really is to help people, I guess you could say, wake up. And there's a lot of people who through the years have gotten more and more frustrated with what's going on, and then they make that decision to get up off the couch and go do something and to get engaged. And I mean, I was looking at your website a little while ago and looking at your experience. You've been engaged for a long time. But tell us, give me the 101. Who is Kelli Macatee? What's your background?
Yes. Well, I was born in West Texas, and then my family moved to Dallas, really Highland Park, when I was 4. And so I grew up in this area, and it really was kind of an idyllic place to be. You know, I grew up riding my bike to the dime store and had an amazing education and lots of wonderful community support anytime anybody.
To the dime store.
Yes, it was. Moses, the dime store in Snyder Plaza.
And thanks to the Federal Reserve, you cannot get anything for a dime anymore. But anyways, sorry, keep going. That jumped out at me there.
No, you cannot. And loving this country, you know, I grew up with talking about how great our country was and talking about how great the Constitution was, and that we're a nation of laws, and that's for a reason, and that we were built for liberty. I mean, that's what it was always about. It was diversity of ideas, and we discussed difficult, complex topics in my house. You know, we didn't shy away from that sort of thing. We served in every way we possibly could. It was just the ethos of who we were as a family. And we were not the only one. Everybody we knew in town was like that. Mm-hmm. And so somewhere along the way, just like everybody else, feels like, I don't even know when it was, where my husband and I started to notice things, and we started to feel like we were in the twilight zone. We don't recognize our country anymore.
Yeah, so many people say that. And now you're in Highland Park. That's Dallas area.
Yes, it's right in the heart of Dallas.
And you I'm looking at your website. You went to that school. And you have a daughter, correct, Jordan?
Yes. I have a daughter. She's 10. I went to elementary school at Armstrong, and then so did my husband. And then my daughter went there and went all the way through. Both my husband and I graduated from Highland Park, and hopefully so will Jordan.
I saw one of your pictures. I was scrolling through, and you got a Letterman jacket on. So, I mean, you are all in that area. You're not new there. And so and is it because your daughter goes to school there? Are you starting to look at the curriculum, and is it more than just that, or what? Give me a little bit more meat on the, man, things are different than when I went to school there, and I'm concerned about the direction.
Absolutely. So I'm in real estate, and I've noticed that there's been some subtle changes to the neighborhood over time. That's always going to happen. And change isn't always bad, right? I mean, humans hate change. But
when you say change, is it one of those deals where there's so many people moving to Texas, it's a free state, they're leaving these other states, but yet they don't know how to let go of their politics, and so things are kind of changing? Is that?
Sometimes it really feels that way. I don't actually have hard data to either approve or deny that. It
Yeah.
feels like there is this big influx of people and almost like this area has been found.
Mm.
But I don't know that that is necessarily true. I feel like there's a lot of movement of people all over the country for various reasons. But certainly people are drawn here because of the schools, because of the safety, because we're still in the heart of a big city, but your child can ride their bike to school. You know, that's pretty rare nowadays.
Yeah.
And the community feel, everybody really rallies around each other. So all of the things that drew people here to the Park Cities, it's definitely on the line
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
And people are feeling that.
If anybody has any questions, this is Kelli Macatee. She is running for school board, Highland Park ISD. We're going to talk about the I in ISD in just a little bit. It's seat 1. The election is May 1st. If anybody has a question for her, just comment below. I think it should in the system, should come up on the screen here. We'll read that question to Kelli. But so you've noticed some changes and you said, you know what, I've got to get involved. I got to get engaged. And there's a lot of people will start off is this your start in politics? Do you see a long career in politics, or do you just want to get in there and do your thing? Or do you have a vision for what you want to do?
You know, that's a great question. And the truth of the matter is that I'm always open to opportunity. And with my personality, when people figure out you're a workhorse, they're real happy to put you to work.
Yeah.
Especially doing stuff that they don't want to do. So I had been approached several times in the past of, hey, would you ever consider running for office? And that is definitely something that my husband and I have talked about on and off. The campaigning thing, yowza. I like to get in, get my hands dirty, really make some positive changes and move on. That's kind of my personality. I like to come in, I like to see where the stop gaps are, where are the problems. Okay, here's how we can change it and make effective, lasting change. I'm a strategist and an implementer. That's just my personality.
And according to your website at the bottom here, you've got some quotes. You have to go wholeheartedly into anything in order to achieve anything worth having, Frank Lloyd Wright.
Yes.
So and from my interactions with you last fall and since then, that has certainly been the case. You also say education is not the learning of facts, but the training of the mind to think. Albert Einstein, you have that quote on your website as well. That's a big thing in education. It seems like this transition, instead of reading, writing, arithmetic, it's about social emotional learning. It's about producing workers for the workforce as opposed to teaching people how to think, as it says here. Have you experienced that? Is that what you're seeing? And that's was that a driving force for you?
Well, I mean, absolutely it is. So it was very interesting being a mom, a parent at all, especially of a young child during COVID. So there's always little things during the parent teacher conferences when Jordan was little that both Mark and I would walk away kind of going, that was interesting. Okay, we'll file that away and just pay attention to it. But really, we're off living our life. We're working, getting Jordan to her activities. We're watching as best we can, but we're not in the classroom. So there's only so much we can know. And so then COVID brought the classroom into our living rooms.
I've heard this type of thing all throughout the country where parents are looking in at their Zoom classes and looking in and saying, what are you teaching my kid? And all of a sudden they're having an awakening.
Yes, it has been very, very eye-opening. And not only what are you teaching, but what you're not teaching. And, it's such a dicey topic because we've had amazing teachers. We adore every single one of our teachers. It's not the humans that are the issue, right? It's the system. And so I studied systems theory in grad school, and a system naturally devolves over time. It doesn't evolve. it is the humans that run that system that have to tighten things up all along the way to keep the ship moving in the direction that it needs to move in.
And really,
So,
go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
well, we don't know how we got here. I'm sure some people do. And there may or may not be people in some closet somewhere going, ooh,
Yeah.
how could we take over the world? I'm sure that happens some, but that's not the whole thing. It's just natural systems devolving over time. And
But
now we kind of have some stuff to do.
Yeah, but the systems are run by people, and people make decisions. And I had somebody ask me questions about, which kind of alludes me to why school board, and I kind of get that because you went to school there, and your daughter's there, and then the COVID, the awakening there. But you now have this angst. You want to get engaged to fix things instead of being out here and having opinions, and and now you're going to get into the system, if you will, to change things. And do you fully understand? That's kind of a general question, but do you fully understand what the school board can and cannot do, especially at the local level? When I remember years ago, and we talked about this before, Common Core was an issue, and Texas said, "Hey, they passed a law, and there's no Common Core here in the state of Texas." And I was in that one meeting with my friend, who was with a state official, and he said that to her, and she said, "Have you seen your kid's math book?" And pulls out the math book, the textbook, and says, "Based on the Common Core standards." And so, where does this stuff come from? The federal level? Common Core, the state agreed to it, the state disagreed to it. And now I look at articles in critical race theory. Somebody just recently in Texas is proposing a law to ban critical race theory, CRT, in Texas. I mean, to get engaged, what can you do at the school board level?
So the rails with which the school board has to operate within are fairly defined. And there is definitely a disconnect between what the school board is actually tasked with doing and what the public thinks the school board is tasked with doing. So there is absolutely that disconnect. However, they are tasked with setting policy, which under that heading is a layer of curriculum. And it's one of those things that when you start pulling at the thread, it gets really interesting really fast, and everybody kind of passes the buck. So I've started talking to some legislatures, and, you talk to school board members, and you talk to, there's people that head curriculum at the school. And the curriculum world is a micro world of its own, right? It is a total specialty. They have their own language, and you can get into any of these buckets: school finance, curriculum, health and safety. They are unnecessarily overly complicated.
Yeah.
And so my question is that by design? Is that to keep us out? Because the average person will get in there and go, "Oh my gosh, this is just a mess, and I just would rather go to the beach and raise my family."
I mean, it's got to get overwhelming, because for the longest time we, drop our kids off at the public school and we pick them up later. We just assume that they're doing the right thing in that building. And then once you get under the hood and you understand the teacher on the front line, how much say do they have in the curriculum? That school board, how much say do they have? The state level, the federal level, how much say do they have in what your child is being taught? Once you get under the hood, It's got to get pretty scary.
Well, and it does. That's why you just take one step at a time. How do you eat an elephant?
Yeah.
One bite at a time. And you just stay real rooted and real focused. And, one of the things you asked is why school board? And it is because our next generation is worth fighting for.
Yeah.
And it is nastier than any of us would ever believe. You would not believe the stuff that is going on out in the community for a school board race. I have had people try and call and get me fired.
Oh, geez. I'm going to dig into the details of politics here in a second, and especially that video you put out last week. It was kind of puzzling. I'm like, where did that come from? But I'm going to ask you about that in a second. But the I in ISD, Independent School District, I'm not in Texas, but I've got a lot of friends in Texas, and I remember through the years learning the vernacular from them, and they always talk about ISD, Independent School District. And I think that a lot of people locally there in Dallas or in Texas take that for granted. But I hear it, I'm going, wow, that's pretty cool. They're an independent school district. Does that mean that they're really independent from being told what to do from the state and even from the federal government? Is that how it's supposed to be? And is it?
Can I do Morse code, like with blinking?
Yeah, from the outside, I hear that Independence Day. These are trigger words. These are key words that I hear that are pretty awesome. I'm thinking Texas is a great state. They're independent. They're ready, for when it goes down. Everyone's like, I'm going to Texas. I always hear that, right? You always hear that. Yeah. And then ISD, Independent School District. Man, that's great. The school district is independent. Is it?
Well, Texas is a great state, and we do a lot of things really well, but we are not immune to what is going on nationwide, which is a major disconnect between what is said and what is actually done. And that's what people are so tired of. That's that's what's getting people like me off the couch, because I'm so fed up with the talking points and the PR not matching what is actually happening in reality.
By their fruits ye shall know them.
That's right.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And it's just not that hard.
So speaking of which, now let's get back into the political side. So you're out there, real estate, you're involved in the community, in the school system, and you decide to run, and all of a sudden you're busier than ever because the election's May 1st. You have early voting starting the 19th? Did I read that?
April 19th. Yep, through the 27th.
And how's it been on the campaign trail?
Well, the truth of the matter is that I've been having a ball. I am out reconnecting with old friends and meeting new friends. We have the most incredible ground game. We are knocking on doors, making calls. Y'all are going to die when you see how much money I've raised. Oh my gosh. And this is just from people calling me and wanting to send money. Like, okay, sure. It is because I am the face of a movement. It is so much bigger than me. And so what is happening is this very interesting force moving against me that I'm like in this parallel universe of having a ball and doing 2-a-day events, coffees at people's houses, events at local restaurants. Huge people. I had a call the other day from someone in Kerrville watching my race. There are people all over the nation watching my race, which it's very humbling.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, other than I'm tapping into something that people are really hungry for, which is energy and the truth. And come on, y'all, let's fix some of these things. They're all fixable.
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe we didn't do things perfectly. Welcome to life. I mean, hello.
Yeah.
Let's just get in there and fix it and help the next generation for years to come. And so I will get wind of things going on out in the community. Certainly, I've spent a lot of time talking about that, which is Facebook.
Yeah.
Nobody seeks to understand anymore.
Yes. Yeah. Stephen Covey, right? Stephen Covey, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I think, I don't know if it was the first, but at least one of them. And it says, seek first to understand, then be understood. Back in the day in social media, people used to engage and have conversation, ask each other, hey, what did you really mean by that? And, maybe people aren't dealing with the same terminology or same definitions of words, and people try to understand. And nowadays, it's crazy out there. People just react emotionally without trying to understand. And then you're like, man, hey, hang on a second. I thought you were on my side. Or we're all Americans, aren't we? Don't we all believe in freedom?
That's right. And people will just launch and tear into people. I don't even really understand how it's legal. I mean, I've got people taking screenshots and stuff because I'm going, this is libel. And
Yeah.
I've got people out there talking, spreading lies. Like, that's not just gossip now, that's slander.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
And so there are lies galore. And so I'm doing my best to say, get with me directly. I've got a link on my website where people can schedule time directly with me. And everybody who has done that has gotten on my calendar immediately. And we have had amazing conversations. And those are the people that give me hope because they genuinely do seek understanding. They've got thoughtful questions, they're paying attention. But these people that just smear and spread lies, and outside groups that come in and send mailers that are moving in the absolute opposite spirit that I'm running my campaign in.
And that's what that video was last week. There's kind of an issue, and it's somebody who, right intention, wrong intention, probably had the right intention, but it's a PAC, and they're not a part of the campaign. Was that the issue that happened?
That's correct. It's a PAC that I'm trying to figure out who all is involved in it. Obviously, I don't know the PAC world. I know that it technically means Political Action Committee, but I don't know how they're formed. I don't know how many people are in them. I don't know what they're legally able to do and not.
But this was a mailer against the person you're running against. So essentially, it was a mailer designed to help you, but. And here's the thing. Here's the interesting thing. When I first saw your YouTube video, I looked into it a little bit, and it's like, why? Because you were pretty taken aback, and you were really standing up against this mailer, but the thing was sent to help you. And I know a lot of people who were running for office who would just say, well, man, I certainly wouldn't have sent that thing, but hey, it's going to help me, so I won't say anything. But you're not like that.
No, no. No. So the way that I live my life, and the scripture that just keeps coming to me is in 1 Corinthians, where I can speak in the tongues of angels and men. I can have all the talent on the planet, but if I don't have love, I'm a clanging cymbal, which means I'm loud and annoying and nobody can hear me. So it doesn't even matter what my message is. Yeah. If it is not coming from a core of love, and what people have to understand is that love is stronger than hate. It will outlast anybody who is coming from a core of hate. So that's what everybody is hungry for. Everybody is hungry for real love that is patient. It's kind. It bears all things. It hopes all things. It perseveres, and it's not a pushover. We speak the truth in love, and the truth is hard to hear sometimes.
So you've in the age of COVID, it's obviously Texas is a much more freer state than others, and so you've been out there on the campaign trail. You have door knockers, you have events, you have a lot of people from the community engaged and involved. Yeah. I'm seeing a lot of your updates on Facebook, and it seems like there's some momentum and some energy.
Yes. We have so much energy and momentum, and I've been pretty humbled and kind of overwhelmed a little bit at the support and moms galore. Moms, especially last year when I watched my 10-year-old exhibit depression symptoms. You want to talk about igniting a mom lion? Yeah. Who my child is basically happy. That's her temperament since the second that she was born, and loves school. And now me, I'm a little more melancholy. I'm a little, dramatic and all of that, but she's not. And so that activated something in moms really across the nation. Yeah. Going, now, hold on. These are my kids we're talking about here. What is really going on in these spaces?
Wow. Now, I also heard a rumor that, which actually you told me, but you were at an event the other day and you whipped out the pocket Constitution. Did I hear that?
Yes. Look, I have it here.
That's awesome. So what were you saying? What were you referencing? What were you talking about in that pocket Constitution?
I love the Constitution. I think it's amazing. I think it's an incredible document. I love the Mayflower Compact that it was designed after. You know, that's the core of where it comes from. I had ancestors come over on the Mayflower. So literally within my bloodline is the marriage of Native people, because on my mom's side is Cherokee. It's actually they're all blended. You know, there's Blackfoot and Cherokee and all of that. But you know, I am an official member of the Cherokee Nation. And because my grandmother, my great grandma, was on the Dawes Rolls. That's how they determined citizenship. And then it was on my dad's side, the Fuller family that came over on the Mayflower.
1620. Is that correct? So that's 400 years last year.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it's wild.
Wow. Mine came over 1628. What's that?
Yeah. I feel that in my bones.
Yeah.
You know, the love for this land, the love for her people. And those original people, they helped each other. They didn't war.
Right.
You know, the Indians helped those coming over survive.
We can do a whole show on that, and we can actually my from 400 years ago, 1628. My paternal side, my father's, etc. I think 13 generations ago came over 1628, and they were Puritans. And we're going to have to talk again. We're going to have a whole nother show on your papa's book. I just finished it yesterday. Yes. So, well, how's that for a teaser for everybody else? But here's what I want to do to close. I want to give you a shot to, I'm going to go solo on you, put your website up there, and just give the spiel. Give a 30, 60-second, who are you and why should somebody vote for Kelli with an I at the end? Vote for Kelli for candidate for Highland Park Independent School District School Board Place 1 on May 1st. Early voting starts, you said, the 19th. That's coming up. Why should they vote for you, and action?
Yes, I'm Kelli Macatee, and I'm running for Highland Park Independent School District School Board Place 1. Vote for me for change. We are looking for lasting change, and I have not been groomed for this position. I have not been rubber stamped for this position. I am a parent that is in the trenches, working and living our lives and trying to raise our child just like everybody else is, and ready to get in there and really make some effective change when it comes to school finance, when it comes to curriculum, especially transparency with curriculum, you know, health and safety. And, you know, diversity has been a big topic that people really care about. And so we want to have those conversations, but there's a proper way to do it. So vote for Kelli Macatee on May 1st.
There it is. All right. Well, Kelli, I appreciate you taking so much time. We spent a lot more time than I thought we would, but there's a lot to unpack. Once a regular Joe who's engaged in their community decides to run for office, I'm fascinated by that moment and appreciate you sharing that with us today. If anybody has any questions for Kelli, comment below. I'm sure I'll make sure you have a link to this as well, Kelli, in your campaign, and you can follow up with people in the comment thread. So.
Okay, great. Thank you.
God bless you. Thank you so much.
You too.